Hey guys, welcome to the Holy Hour. This is Gavin, and we have a very special show for you tonight. I have a very special guest. Welcome to the show, Chaz. How's it going?
It's going all right. How are you?
Good, man. Thanks so much for getting in touch. For long-time listeners, you kind of know Chaz out there. Contributed a few segments to shows in the past. Was it 2 segments maybe in an email? I was trying to do the math earlier.
Yeah. I think it was 2 and then 1. So yeah.
Cool. Always good input, and kind of been there from near start. I think I've always kind of been in touch on the side there with your comments and such, and always appreciate it. So
no problem.
So glad to have you on, man, and finally talk to you. It's so weird. I feel like I know you somehow already, but technically I don't think I do.
It's probably all just like the annoying emails I send you about, this just got released and this got done and this got done. So yeah.
So, yeah, it's good. I think I'm even guilty of a few junk and ramble emails to you too, where I'm like, "Hey man, just hanging out. Thought I'd drop you a line." I'm like, who is this fucking guy? But
it's quite all right. I enjoy the banter with Cure fans. So
right on, cool, man. Well, we love to get origin stories around here, so I think we're gonna focus on how this crazy journey began with you, and if you don't mind sharing your Cure past with us.
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about it. It's like, where do I start? Because part of me wants to start back like when I was a kid and I'd never heard the Cure before.
Yeah.
And then to when I actually heard them, which wasn't until senior year of high school. And
Okay.
I'm only 36, so this was in 98.
Okay.
When I first heard them. First actually got into them, but I was raised in a really, really ultra conservative household.
Mm-hmm.
And outside music wasn't allowed, I guess.
Oh, wow.
So I didn't listen to the radio at all when I was a kid, except for oldies.
Right.
I can say my first concert was this Christian a cappella group.
Oh, wow.
Called the Kingsmen, I think their name was.
Nice.
But it was it was terrible. But my mom and stepfather were into that kind of stuff, and my mom was the one that liked the oldies, so that was cool listening to it with her.
Cool.
And my stepfather was really anti anything, they would label it secular, which was anything that wasn't Christian. So I went to Christian school from kindergarten all the way up to junior year of high school.
Wow.
And then I got kicked out, and then so
what part of the country was this?
the northeast Lehigh Valley in Pennsylvania.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, so I wasn't down south or anything. So, but
right.
yeah, it was a really weird childhood. And MTV was getting big in the 80s, so we didn't have cable until probably maybe junior high. No, it was before that.
Okay.
Probably around fifth grade or so. We got cable.
Yeah,
so
we
that
got
was
it real late too. It was a really because we were more just rural, but everyone around us would be like, "Oh, MTV." I mean, I'd always see it going over to friends' houses and grandparents' houses and stuff. But I don't think we had any actual proper MTV video watching till maybe even my 7th grade, almost 9th grade years too. So yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. We didn't. I think we got the Disney Channel. It was a big deal. So it was humongous. So and then the only other thing I remember from TV when I was a kid, other than not being able to watch certain shows, was getting not WrestleMania, SummerSlam, 89, I think it was.
All right.
So that was the big thing because I was really into wrestling and I was allowed to watch that. So,
no crazy music, but you can watch people beat each other with chairs.
Oh my, yeah. You can watch the most violent thing, but anybody with walking around in a bathing suit, that's the devil's work, Totally. So, then once I discovered, MTV, it was a lot of it was done in secret, So I would wait until I was home by myself, and I would just consume as much of it as I could. And I remember, taking my mom's radio from downstairs in the kitchen and sneaking it upstairs at night and
Mm-hmm.
trying to find music on the radio and stuff like that. And
Right.
I would tape the stuff while I was sleeping, and would try to listen to it the next day or whenever I could get the tape deck back.
Right. So you'd audio tape like the TV?
Yeah, just audio. Yeah, little audio tapes. And then once about 6th grade hit, that was like the worst year of school I ever had.
Yeah.
And like 6th, 7th, and 8th were terrible for me.
Yeah.
And as most kids.
Yeah, that's usually where it falls apart.
Yeah. So, 92 was the first time I heard Nirvana.
Okay.
And that really changed my life.
Was that kind of the first, like, secular stuff that you got, like...
No, I mean, it was like the first time I had heard anything really aggressive, like outside of maybe Guns N' Roses,
right.
And maybe like some hair metal.
Mm-hmm.
By the time I went, when 7th grade hit, I switched schools, so I still went to a Christian school, but it was just a different one.
Right.
And a lot of the kids were into Christian metal, and there's some bands that I thought were okay, but for the most part, I thought it was like incredibly cheesy.
Right.
And so I there were some of them I got into, and then some of them I didn't, and then some of the kids got into like really terrible like Christian rock, and like I could label off some of the bands right now, but
right.
Just to, like going through my head, I'm just like, oh my god, they were terrible,
Yeah.
So like when I was finally able to hear like Nirvana, it really did change my life.
Wow.
I know you're a little older, and
Yeah.
a lot of the people I speak to about this, they were older, so like they heard Nirvana and they're like, we had already heard stuff like that, or we were into something else, or but I was like, a good pocket of the population, like that really changed a lot for them.
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
I was one of those kids, and it just I remember seeing the video, and I distinctly remember seeing some kid jumping into the crowd, and I was like, holy shit, I want to do that.
Totally. Yeah.
And like I was like, that's what I want to do, that's what I want to listen to. And the kid was wearing I think that kid was wearing a Bad Brain shirt, which is
like
I was like, I need to know who that is,
Yeah. It was so crazy, like those little clues with everything like that, that we've talked about before. Like back then, you're like, well, what does this mean? It's like a little, little another key, if you're open the next layer or something. But,
yeah, and like, oh, sorry, my dogs are barking in the background.
No problem.
So just.
But I remember even Nirvana was a huge shift for us, because I kind of had like random pieces of like older stuff that my brothers listened to, and just stuff that I knew I liked, but it was all kind of scattered, and it was the first kind of like big shift, even though I was like already into The Cure even as a kid at that level, but it was all very 80s feeling, and like kind of is kind of hindsight and cheesy it seems to say, but like seeing Nirvana, like just totally like, oh, this is like a whole new thing going on now, and like guitars and shit, still like keyboards are amazing, and like, then I'm just like, fuck that, I want a guitar, as soon as you see them like rocking out, and but yeah, it's pretty amazing.
So when that happened, it like I remember going to the mall with my family, and I would go off, I'd try to get away from them, go to we had this store called The Wall, which was eventually came FYE, which is like all over the place now.
Yeah.
But it was just a CD store, and I would go in there and I would just be like, I remember they had the Nevermind cardboard cut out in the front window.
Nice.
And I'd be like, I want to hear that, because at that time they would open up the CDs and you could listen to whatever you wanted to.
Right.
So it was just like, I want to hear that. So I would hear that, and then there was a pretty cool guy there, I remember, that would he would be like, oh, you got to listen to this,
Cool.
And some of the stuff I was like, I don't really like this at all,
Yeah.
And then some of the stuff I got really into, and but again, all this was done in secret, because at the school I was going to, they would monitor the music that you listen to. and it was. I can't really explain how like I don't know what the word I'm trying to find is, but like really restrictive on like stuff that you did outside of school,
right?
And especially in school. So we would go on field trips. We were allowed to bring music, or if we went like I played basketball and soccer, and we would have to travel a long way, and we were allowed to bring music and listen to.
Yeah.
And they would pre-screen a lot of the stuff.
Wow.
So I remember taking cassettes and writing a name of the band, like a band that somebody was listening to at the time at the church or whatever, and it would be somebody else completely different.
Oh wow!
And
they would just fake cover on it.
Like
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so they would just see like whatever generic name was on it and be like, okay, whatever, So then I distinctly remember your writing. I remember the band name I was listening to, but I think I wrote like Jars of Clay on it or whatever. It was popular at the time, and it was the Misfits Walk Among Us I was listening to.
Oh shit!
So it's supposed to be Christian music, and I'm listening about chopping little girls' heads off and stuff like that. So
it couldn't get any more polar opposite there.
And I would work in the summer, and all my money would go to music.
Yeah.
Just trying to consume as much as I could. And I started working when I was about 13 or 14 at a nursing home that my mom worked at. And my aunt had a party place that was like a really bad Chuck E. Cheese ripoff. And I would go there and work there, and she would pay me, and that was like right down the road from the mall. So I'd ride my bike there, and I remember going in and buying the first this record label, Epitaph Records from California. They had a Punkorama CD. Okay. And
is that the compilations?
Yeah. Because I figured it was the best way to get as many different types of music and as many different bands as I could get for my money. So I bought a shit ton of compilations. And stuff that like I didn't even like, I got to hear something, I got to hear something different. So I distinctly remember hearing Bad Religion's "Do What You Want," and like it completely blew my mind because it was so anti-religion and like completely anti what I mean. Yeah, the Misfits were like that too, which I got into after Bad Religion, but like. That album, it's like the lyrics are like, I'll believe in God when 1 and 1 are 5. And I'm like, fuck yes, and I'm like, finally somebody's listening to me, So and
it's that perfect example. I love how you, because you still, definitely seem like you're a pretty hardcore fan, punk, and like, how like you initially just gravitated towards that right off the bat. Then,
like, I mean, once I got out of that shell, I wasn't able to be pushed back in, and like, but like. Again, like it was all done in secret, So like outside of, to everybody else, I was like this different person, this quiet, I was pretty well behaved until probably sophomore year of high school, when I was like, I'm done with this. I'm gonna dye my hair. I'm gonna paint my nails. I'm gonna find every chain I can find, and I'm gonna wear it. I'm gonna listen to whatever bands I want to. And like I would just put stuff on that I knew would piss people off that I didn't even like. And like I'd put like industrial music on, and they were like, "What is this shit?" And I was like, "I don't know, but I don't," and it's like, whatever, fuck what you want, So so then I got kicked out in junior year, the couple days into junior year of high school, and I went to public school, which I went from a class of like 6 or 7 kids in my 10th grade to a class of like hundreds. And like the first couple days were overwhelming, and then like I started walking in the class and like actually picking up my head and looking around. And I'd see all different types of people, punks, jocks, the cool kids, the poor kids, it was just like where has this been all my life, and like I live in the same town as you guys, and I've never seen you guys before. So and a bunch of the kids there took me under their wing, and I was a new kid, and they were really nice, and I blended in well with high school. And then senior year of high school, I tried to take a really shitty math class just to get a grade. It was like basic math or whatever.
Yeah.
And my guidance counselor was like, "No way, you're not taking this." And I'm like, "But I was like, you did better than algebra, so you can take a more advanced class." And they're like, "You can take trigonometry or calculus." I was like, "I'm not taking that. I have no interest in math. I'm never going to use it." And they said, "Well, you can take accounting then." And I was like, "Whatever, I'll take it."
Right.
So I was a really good student. I was like pretty much straight A's and a couple B's. So
Right on.
I was just gonna fly by by the seat of my pants. Senior year, I didn't really care.
Right.
And I walked into class, and there was a girl sitting at the front of the class. Her name is Veronica, and for some reason she like got infatuated with me. Out of like I never talked to her before, and I sat in the back of the class, she sat in the front, and she told like all her friends, a couple weeks in the class that she liked me, and like they were like, do you know Veronica? I was like, no. Like, oh, she's in your accounting class. She sits in the front of the room. I was just like, okay, if you say so.
All she ever talks about is you.
Yeah. Yeah. Her nickname for me was No Jeans because I never wore jeans. Like anytime she ever saw me, so I would wear all sorts of weird stuff to school because I was allowed to at that point. So it was about a couple months into class, we had a substitute teacher, or our teacher was telling us we had a substitute teacher, and so she's like, it's basically going to be a study hall. So she came up to me, and we had already said hi by that point, and she was like, you want to bring in some music? And I was just like, and I'll listen to it. And I was like, yeah, sure. And she's like, you can bring in some of yours, and I'll listen to it. So she brought in this little CD booklet, and I brought in mine, and I remember she had Weezer, Pinkerton album, because I still have it. It's in my car, and it's got her name on it, like a little post-it like sticky note on it. And then she brought this band Kid Dynamite from Philadelphia, and they were like a hardcore punk band. And then she brought in The Cure, Disintegration, and I remember sitting in class, and I was like, I heard these guys before, like I had heard, Boys Don't Cry and like Just Like Heaven, like, the bigger hits. And I was like, all right, I'll listen to it. And I think I listened to Plain Song and I skipped over it. And I was like, it's too slow,
Get to the point.
Yeah. And it wasn't until I heard Fascination Street.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like, it just like, it kicked me in the head. Like I just fell in love with it, like instantly. I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. And then the song Disintegration also is just like that heavy bass, and it was really driving. And like at that point in time, like I didn't want to hear anything that wasn't fast and aggressive. I was really angry as a kid. My father wasn't around. I hated my stepfather. I hated going to church. I hated like all this other stuff. So like anything angry and aggressive, I wanted to hear. If it wasn't angry and aggressive, and I missed out on a ton of bands that like through the years I've tried to go back and listen to. So at that point in time, I was just like, this is awesome. And I took it home, and along with the Weezer album, and I didn't have that album, but I had the blue one. And I recorded them both on cassette. And then I gave them back to her, and we ended up dating about 6 months after we graduated. So we got in, it was, she went away to college, and she wanted to go to prom. It was this whole thing. I won't get into it, but so we don't have time for that. So then we ended up dating. So we got in a heavy dose of listening to Disintegration.
So was she a pretty diehard Cure fan, or did she just kind of happen to have Disintegration in a few of the bigger albums? Or
yeah, that was pretty much it. I remember she bought Blood Flowers because that came out in 2000, right? Yeah. So I know she bought that one, and I remember having that in her room and listening to it. And then she had She had Disintegration, and I believe she had Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, but I could be wrong. But so we would drive around, and we would go to the record store that was in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. And I remember going in there one day and just perusing the new arrivals, which he had a section. He still has it, just for new arrivals of used vinyl. So going through there, and I saw Three Imaginary Boys, and I was like, all right, I'll pick that up. It's a Cure. I'll listen to it. So I picked that up, and I picked up that Happily Ever After LP, the one with was 17 Seconds Faith. Yeah. So I picked that up, and I picked up a Hot single, and I want to say there was another single in there, and I was just like, oh, I'll just buy them all. And I was reviewing CDs at the time for a website. Like, this is like early 2000s, and I did that for a couple of years. So I would bring in CDs and sell them, and then use that money and buy records with it. I fell in love with vinyl pretty once I bought my first record, I was just it turned into an addiction, and so that was an easy way for me to score records.
What year was this around? Because
that was I started working for when I was at community college. I was working for a website that was doing it, and then another website a couple 2 years after that. So this was 99 or early 2000, and then the other website was 2001 to 2005 or 6. Those are kind
of the gray years for vinyl too. Not really much floating around out there. So
no. The hardcore punk community definitely was a big part of keeping that whole thing alive. Along with hip hop. They were really instrumental in promoting that, and still putting that out. Hardcore, hard bands still do it. They'll record 2 songs and put it on a 7-inch, and there you go. So,
for sure.
Yeah, so that was my first introduction to collecting Cure vinyl, and then I went back, and then sure enough, there was a stack of another 5 or 6 records. And I bought those up too. Every time I went back, I kept getting more.
You're getting a good hefty chunk each time. And diverse too. That's a pretty wide, span of the Cure's catalog too. You're getting.
Yep.
So that was gonna ask you if you kind of, when you officially hit that switch of being like, all right, I want to check out more of their stuff. So you're kind of grabbing stuff out of sequence and stuff too. Then. So.
Yeah. None of it was in order. I remember taking Three Imaginary Boys home and listening to it and being like, what the fuck is this?
Is this even them? Yeah.
And I had the internet at my house, and I remember going online and trying to look stuff up about them, but there wasn't any Wikipedia or anything, and I was I was looking at the date, and I was just like, all right, this is 79, or I'm just like, what? All right, this is I love the Clash, and I was like, this is kind of comparable to that, not as fast and aggressive, but I mean it's still like a version of punk, and I was into it. And then when I heard 17 Seconds, I was like, all right, this is a progression, this is cool.
Right.
So this is going. I like this, But then besides Disintegration, I fell in love with Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me. And I know in a past episode I said that I had bought that album and let one of my girlfriends borrow it. It wasn't Veronica, it was another one, and she took it away. She took it to
college.
A
subtle way to bring it up. I was like, so is this the one in Snag Your Record?
No, this wasn't the same girl. This is a different one.
Good.
So she would have never done that,
Okay,
so,
that's good. I was already starting to like that girl too much. I was like, oh no, this is gonna end horribly.
No.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So she took that away to college, and I never saw it again until that exact record. So until my wife ended up buying it for me a couple of years later. So so that's how I got into it.
Did the weirdness of, because that's come up a few times on our show here, especially with Donald there, of I guess poppierness and the kookiness of some of the Kiss Me singles and stuff. Was that like any initial like what, or initial you kind of just rolled with it with the lump sum that you were getting at the time? I never was really like thought like when I'd hear Hot Hot Hot, I was never like, oh, this is crazy compared to what I've heard. It just was a song, you know. Did you feel that way? Or?
I didn't. I don't think I. Like, I'm trying to remember like when I'm like, I think if I would have heard it when I was like 16, I would have never listened to it. You know, I would have been like, this is fucking stupid. You know, just stick with the sound. You know, be like the Ramones and put 30 albums out that all sound the same. You know,
totally.
So, but no, I mean, I remember hearing Hot 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 and being like, this really sounds like the Red Hot Chili Peppers a little bit. And I was like, but this is before them. I'm like, all right, I can get in this. It was like, now looking at it, you know, it's like Robert wanted to write, a funk song, and he just did it, and like, and I appreciate that now as going into my late 30s, it's like I've never been able to do anything like that, just be like, I'm gonna do this and it's gonna be great, none of it ever bothered me. The only thing that ever the distinct sound I like a lot, I know if you go on my Instagram a lot, I shit on Morrissey and the Smiths.
Right on, yeah. And I won't make a total confession yet, but I want to hear your reasons there.
Oh my God, I could go into it. I don't want to make anybody angry, but I've gotten in discussions about that, and I'm like, the Cure's sound is so all over the place, and you can be in just about any mood and find something that'll either complement it or like if I'm upset and angry, I want to listen to something that's upset and angry. I want something that's gonna sympathize to what I'm going through. And some people want to listen to something that'll get them happier. They'll give them a little. You could do that with the Cure too. I think that through their whole catalog, you can run the gamut of being really, really upset and depressed to just being ecstatically in love, which I think is really different than a lot of bands, especially bands that I listen to. And somebody like Morrissey, I feel like it's the same thing over and over and over again. And I know somebody's out there like, that's not true. And I'm just like, okay, whatever you. It's just
it is a hard thing for a lot of bands, like you're saying. There's so many bands that I love, but I wouldn't totally say that they cover that full spectrum the way the Cure does, for sure, where it's like, because even in the songs that are like a depressing song, a lot of them go like both ways too. You can have something like Pictures of You, where it's like if you're feeling totally miserable, it sounds like the saddest song in the world, but if you're like in a good mood, it's kind of fun too, or it's like a lot of them kind of morph to your emotions, and it's pretty awesome.
That's one thing I love about Robert's lyrics too, is that you can be in the most depressing song, but it has like the most romantic lyrics, and like you're just like, it's a weird mixture that I don't think very many bands have ever been able to hit. And part of it's just being a fanboy, that I feel that way, but it's definitely it was definitely one of the reasons that I've stuck with them for so long. And lyrics have always been really important. I know some people are like, foo-foo lyrics and they just want to hear the music. I can't play an instrument to save my life, and so when people go into technical aspects of songs and stuff, it's over my head. But
did you say you sang in a choir though, or did you do some singing?
I did do singing in a choir for a couple of years, and I did play trumpet for probably about 3 years, but I didn't know what I was doing. I just kind of blew into the thing and pressed down the little things, whatever they're called. Like I don't even know what they're called. So and I sang in 2 bands that never did anything. So but other than that, I have no ability to read or write music. The technical aspects of stuff, if I hear something that I like it. It's I don't dive deep into what instrument they used or what what type of style they're using or anything like that, or drum beats or anything. I just like lyrics are very important to me. I saw this band over the weekend called Sam I Am, and they're from California, and I've been listening to them for years. And the lead singer went through a ton of stuff as growing up with his father, and it was those lyrics. And I went to him up after the show because I saw him twice, and I had my son with me the second time. And I was like, I just want to let you know, and I've seen them a bunch of times. I was like, your songs have made me want to be a better father. And like, I don't think I'm a bad father. I just, it's like, a lot of that stuff like really speaks to me. And like, I just wanted to let him know. And he just started laughing. He's just awesome. He's like, those songs that I wrote make me want to be a better father too, because he's his dad. And I'm just like, all right, that's cool. So we kind of, we share that same thing. So, and then like the way I grew up and everything, it's like all that stuff resonates. So Robert's lyrics are very important to me. So I don't mean to geek out or anything.
No, that's great. Yeah, I love it. I'm definitely in the same boat. I'm, as much as I love the music aspect of everything too, I'm definitely, my heart always lies with the lyrics. And I think there's just so much to be said for like opening your mouth and having actual words coming out and, like identifying that. I mean, it just makes it so much more human. If you can make your guitars sound like emotions and stuff, which a lot of people do, and, which is great, but ultimately, I feel like if you're really saying something that can hit you right in the heart, that's like there's no beating that,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
it's great.
It's definitely important when it comes to. I remember Kurt Cobain said he didn't really care about lyrics, and he'd write the music and then the lyrics. He would do the lyrics some of the time, and they're in the recording studio, while he he'd just write it down, So. As much as I love that band and still has a whole special place in my heart, I didn't read too much into the lyrics, here and there, but overall, so it was just anger and aggression that attracted me. So,
and a lot of times you can tell, but at the same time, and I think even when songwriters do that, they kind of do just kind of shoot out whatever's popping in their head or whatever sounds cool. But I part of me does think that no matter what, there's always something in there, And like whether they admit it or not, even of what it is, or piecing together, and there's always a little truth to it,
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's something in it. You may never be able to crack the puzzle, but it's got to be something if you're just spouting it out,
You would hope so.
Yeah, I hope so. Maybe not with Bush or something like that.
Yeah, that was a band I got into for like a minute, and I like looking back on it, and I listened to some of the songs. I'm like, what the fuck is he writing about?
Yeah,
like,
it's just like total gibberish.
Yeah, I'm just like, it's like he had like a word hat, and he just started grabbing stuff out of it.
Yeah, he was always my go-to one to laugh at when it's just like, what the hell is this guy trying to talk about? But anyway, we digress. This is now a Bush podcast, but so as you're gradually getting all these together, then are you feeling good about different eras then, or was it all pretty like right on, other than to that ill-fated day when you got the top, I guess? Did you?
I was feeling really like Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me was the first one I dove into, and I honestly got stuck there for a while, and even at that point I thought the album was too long. But it was still one of the ones that I just like I really got into. About that time was probably around like 2004, and I was working a lot. Like I stopped going to shows, I stopped seeing a lot of my friends, and I was early 20s, and I was just trying to work to try to get out of pay for school and get out of my mom's house, and go do something. And so I remember listening to that, and a lot of other bands at that time, just on repeat over and over and over again. So after that, I moved to Chicago, and I remember listening to Disintegration a lot, and just like sitting alone in my apartment by myself, and just just listening to it on repeat, and then I went back and I started getting into some of the earlier stuff, 17 Seconds and Faith, and then Pornography fucking blew my mind. Like it still blows my mind. I just I don't like, as personal as Disintegration is to me. Like now, I think music can be very therapeutic to stuff you went through when you were younger, and like stuff you went through before, and like you can listen to a lot of music and that'll bring back those memories, but like also try to heal them, and like try to I've listened to stuff and I'm like, man, what would I would have done if I would have listened to that back when I was like 16? I did that a lot with the band Dinosaur Jr., where I'm like, man, I really wish I would have had this when I was going through this. But it's like it's therapeutic. So like when I listen to Pornography, a lot of that stuff, I'm just like, it was just like a punch in the gut, and it was like the first time I heard Fascination Street that it really resonated. And then I tried to go into some of the later stuff with Blood Flowers and Wild Mood Swings. And
did you get those as they came out, kind of? Or
no,
did you kind of just stumble across them?
I stumbled across Wild Mood Swings at a record store in Philadelphia, and I want to say like 2009 or 10. And I was like, I don't own it. I don't feel like spending what it usually goes for. And the guy had it. I think he had it for $60, and I'm like, I'll take it. It's like, it's a lot of money, but I was like, I don't have it, and it's a piece in my collection that's missing. And the only one that was missing for a long time was Blood Flowers, because I had a certain amount of money that I would spend for it, and I wouldn't spend any more. And I was pretty content. Like, if I never owned it, I'll never own it. It's not an album I like. It's kind of like The Top, but The Top is so easily accessible. That
did you have either of them on like CD? Had you heard them, or
no?
Because you're talking vinyl with the
I stole them off the internet.
Right. Let's go.
So
I'm all down with that.
I mean, I listened to Blood Flowers before with Veronica, and I was just like, it always rubbed me the wrong way that it felt like they were trying to do something. They were trying to resonate something from the past, and it just wasn't working. And I still kind of feel that way, even though I gave it a little bit more of a chance. And Wild Mood Swings is another album that I'll go back to, and I'll actually find stuff that I really like about it. It's not great by any stretch of the imagination, but there are things that I'll sit and listen to, and I'm like, wow, it's actually really good. So,
that one's definitely weird for me too. Get me on the right mood, and I'm way more lenient on it. And then other ones I'm like, it just misses a lot, But, like,
I look at their fashion when that album came out, and it's like, it's so dated. I'm just like, it seemed really like, it was just like, we gotta, like, it's like the record company was like, well, you gotta wear these flannel shirts, and it was
weird. It was just such a weird time, I guess, because everything was kind of shifting gears musically and stuff, and they were just like, where are we? So I'm sure it had a lot to do with it, but just like trying to win some younger audiences and stuff like that.
That's the only thing I can think of. But I ended up finding Blood Flowers at the record store in Allentown, Double Decker, that I always go to.
That place sounds awesome.
Yeah, he had it sealed, so I was like, oh man, and it was a little bit over the price that I set, and I was like, I was just like, fuck it, I don't think I'm ever gonna see it again sealed, and I was like, I'll just buy it, and so I bought it, and then like about a year later, he got another one unsealed, but he was charging like an extra $20 for it, and I was like, I'm glad I got it now.
Yeah,
So,
there you
yeah,
go. It's the little things that justify.
Yeah,
That's what's tough. Yeah, with the vinyl stuff of like buying one that you're not even like that crazy about the album, you know, and you're just like, but the collection aspect.
yeah. Oh,
because I don't have that one on vinyl. It's like just like that era, you know, like we were saying, they weren't really cranking out a lot of vinyl and stuff. So
it's really hard to find it. Yeah. It's up there. And then for people that don't know, I have a pretty extensive Cure vinyl collection, so that's why we're
right. I guess it's a good time to address that. Yeah, this guy. If you've been on the Facebook page, we posted some pictures early on, and we'll dig those up again because it's an amazing collection. It's just visually beautiful, and I'm sure sounds equally beautiful. But I mean, it's you really. Is like one of those things because I'm just like one of those kind of collector nuts at heart where I love the idea of collecting and doing stuff, but like I've really just had to like turn off that part of my brain in the last 10 15 years or something, and I'm just like I can't do it, but you get me going on it. I'm like anything, I'm like, oh, the Little Prince in every language, I want to collect all those. But so it was great like seeing your pictures. I'm just like, this is it, man, this is perfect.
I don't know what it is about vinyl, and like it's not a quality like audio quality for me, which it is for some people.
Right.
I've never been that kind of a nerd, and I use that in the the nicest way possible.
Endearing.
It's I've never had the money to dive into a really expensive system or anything. I'm sure if I didn't have kids and I didn't spend so much money on records, I probably would. But it just wasn't something that was that important to me. I just kind of went to thrift stores, and even when I first started buying records, I went to thrift stores and bought a record player and just bought a needle for it and went home and listened to it. So it's just the way you can look at art on a record compared to like a CD cover is really big to me. And then if you go into the labels, which you don't get on the CD, which is another aspect of it, and then you get bigger, you get the bigger inserts, which are easier to read, and just the artwork's just bigger and more in your face. The colors pop more, and then if for some reason there's color vinyl, it just if they do it right, it just makes everything pop more. There's times where
worthwhile.
There's times you see color vinyl that just doesn't work at all, and you're just going, ugh,
right?
Why did they do this? So and then I just doing that over and over again. I built this humongous vinyl collection that I ended up selling a lot of it. About a year and a half ago to buy a house for my family,
Nice.
So I kept.
So did you have a pretty passionate collection for multiple bands then, like other ones that were rivaled the Cure stuff?
Well, not rival the Cure stuff, just because the Cure stuff is like so expansive, and like in like the 80s they would press one record, but they would press it in like 30 different countries. So you might you have the Walk single, but it's pressed in like the Philippines and Brazil and Germany, and so it's all over the place. So you could
you have always like such a great chunk of like the same one, but this is the French one. That's awesome.
which has been a pain in the ass, but it's great when you find it. It's just hard to find. I feel like if I ever went to Europe, I would just be on like an endless trek of going country to country trying to find everything. But as far as other bands go, there's a band from New Jersey called Lifetime that is the only other, and Sam I Am is another one, but that collection isn't as expansive that I held on to.
Nice.
And then I held on to all my Dinosaur Jr. stuff. And then anything that my wife had bought me, I kept. And then any other record that had like major sentimental reasons to me, I kept. And then pretty much everything is like, we have a giant bookshelf that goes from one side of the room to the other. And so all on the right side is all the stuff I'm keeping, and all the stuff to the left side is all the stuff I'm still trying to sell.
Yeah.
So, but I've gone through it a bunch of times and picked stuff out, and I'm like, oh man, I remember when I bought this, and like,
right.
I'm just like, oh yeah,
so
I remember.
hard.
Yeah, it's hard, but like I made it a point to not sell any of my Cure stuff. So it's been a labor of love, and like it's just
you're on the right track with it. I'm sure it's one of those things too. It's like at this point, like me looking at that, I'm like, it's just the war I could never win, you know. And it's like, you have such a good jump on it now. It's like, you got this, man. You've got everything. This is awesome.
So. Yeah, like that band Lifetime. I have everything they put out on every version, you know. So there's nowhere to go. So that's just kind of sitting there, you know. So and then with Cure stuff, it's like I've been incredibly lucky. So like I have my Disintegration Platinum album that I'm looking at right now with the platinum record in the RIA certified stamp on it, and I have my gold album of Kiss Me Kiss Me Kiss Me on my wall. So like that stuff, once in a lifetime, I found it and I just bought it, and like it's like stuff like that I've just been lucky with. And I bought that Love Box 7-inch for Love Song, and I opened it up, and inside of it is like an autograph ticket from the entire band, and I'm like, what the fuck? And like I got it for $20, and I was like, I opened it up, and like everything was inside of it, and there were 2 tickets for 2 shows in England, I believe, from 1992. And I flipped over one of them, and it's all autographed, and I'm like, holy shit, you know. Damn. So, and then I found posters, and somebody's written out mixtape lists that they made. Wow. Yeah, I found in a New Order record I have, I found somebody write out the entire New Order discography by hand, and I'm like, okay, you know, I'm sure it was readily available in a magazine, but you know, and then they drew the artwork from one of the records on it, and I'm just like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
Great.
So yeah,
it's like finding something in the pockets when you go to like a Goodwill and you get a coat, and, you know, it's like, oh man, that's great.
Yeah.
Is there? I think you told me once in an email, but for the listeners, is there a holy grail out there that you're still the one? Like prized possession you can't get, but you keep your eyes out forever.
You know, there's some like acetate records that were done.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that too.
I'll never be able. If I ever find one, I might I'll probably faint. I mean that's just it's just like something that I've seen on eBay, and like I've seen go for like $16,000, and I'm just like I'm sure the person that owns that, I hope they own a collection that's bigger than mine and just not that one record. But you know, you never know. But as far as like individual holy grails, it was that First Aid box that they did. It's a promotional thing through the record company that that I'll never ever be able to find. And if I find it, probably won't be complete. Which will just drive me nuts.
Pieces and stuff, right?
Yeah, there's like I think there's buttons and patches, and there's little candies in it, and
nice.
Yeah, so I don't think I'll ever find it. You know, I have a couple test pressings of like some singles, but you know, I mean, test pressings never were really a big thing to me, just because I mean, I don't know. There's not much fun in finding something that's like one of 2 or something like that. To me, it's like. You know, but it's like I own it and nobody else does. You know, it just that never really appealed to me. But like a couple things here and there as far as like some bootlegs go, and that's what I've been kind of on with my kick lately, is just trying to collect as many bootlegs as I can find, and I hook them up to my USB record player and put them on my computer. So which is great, and if anybody's looking for it. Somebody just released the In Orange concert on vinyl.
I was gonna ask you. I've seen people floating around with pictures out there. Like that totally appeals to me. I'm like, oh man, that would be awesome to have on vinyl. So
I just got it. Yeah, I just got it 2 weeks ago. I got it off of
Nice.
eBay, and I think it was called the company was like Apex Records. So
Uh-huh.
if you want to look it up, and they were also selling this thing called the Wailing Demo, which has like a promo shot from pornography on it, and
Mm-hmm.
on the set list or the track listing is a mixture of stuff from pornography, the top, and I think Faith. So it's like it's
Man,
just demos and stuff, which is cool. And
that's
then
awesome.
yeah, the only thing that I didn't like about the in Orange LP was it took some of the tracks off of it
Oh,
to
really?
make it fit,
Trim-
but
Yeah, makes sense.
it's still really like it's something I've been hoping they would do, and I was hoping that Robert would release something like that, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah, that would make total sense. Like
yeah.
I guess that goes in the whole other long list of like, why the hell don't they just? Because they never even put like Show in Paris on vinyl, did they?
Yeah, they did actually, but
Did they? Oh
yeah,
shit.
that those are some things that are on my my want list too. But
Yeah. Sheesh.
they
Yeah,
I
that's probably
want to
super
say they
obscure.
were just released in Europe, so
Uh huh.
they're really hard to find and they're pretty expensive. They're like
Yeah, but
200 bucks a piece or something like that. So it's
yeah.
yeah, I would have to trip into that some one way or another. But
Right.
yeah,
Damn. Yeah,
yeah.
that's gotta hurt too with like those bootlegs when you get them. You could probably, you've got enough of them where you can size it up by looking at the track listing and stuff. But have you ever got any where it's just a different cover and you get it home and you're like, oh, I know which live one this is, and it's like the exact same thing? Have you had any like duds that way where it's like a total double? Or...
No, the only bad thing I ever had was there's two. One was that I think I emailed you when I bought it was the Pornography Tour LP that was a
Yeah,
bootleg, and the quality on
mm-hmm.
that's terrible.
Yeah,
It's a cool concept and everything, but the artwork is really kind of cheesy. It's just like a squiggly line across the front of it and it says "Cure
right.
Pornography Tour." But it's a
Yeah,
it's a double LP, and I was like, okay, this is kind of cool, and I put it on, and it was terrible. And then I
it's
got
just
one
so
that
bad.
yeah, there's another one I have. It's from I think it's the LA Forum, and it's just
Mm-hmm.
it's from 1987, and it's got Robert in a picture with a Betty Boop shirt on the front of it,
Right.
and I got that at like a record fair, and I didn't listen to it for years, and I put it on, and it sounds like somebody had like a tape recorder in their pocket and just
Yeah.
record, and it was you can hear everybody talking around them, and
Oh, geez.
it's just terrible. So those are the only two that ever
And
disappointed
then
me
it's
that
like,
got.
who would bother to like put that on vinyl? That's
Yeah,
always
like
so weird. It's like it can't be like an easy task to like get something to like. I don't know. I
yeah,
guess people got.
yeah, it's not cheap for you, I'm sure, unless you were able to like sell them right off the bat. But
Yeah.
the artwork is cool, and the back of it has
Right.
two giant lips on it, and then the whole track listing. So the artwork is awesome. It's so
Yeah, it
you get
looks
the
like it would be awesome.
yeah, you
Yeah,
just get the
that's all.
artwork and then the shitty recording. It's I'm just
Yeah.
like ugh. I just kind of just want to throw the records out and just keep the cover and put it on the wall. But it's you know sorry,
Yeah.
my cat just ran into me. Stop.
No
So,
problem.
uh,
So the ones you do have as far as prized possessions, is there one that you think is the ultimate one that if the house is on fire kind of thing that you can only grab one? Which one would you grab?
I I'd have to grab the Kiss Me Kiss Me Kiss Me LP that my wife gave me.
Yeah.
Just it's just sentimental reasons. So
Good
she
answer.
yeah. So so on the edited version, I'll say something else. So
Yeah,
but
yeah. Or
yeah.
yeah.
No, yeah,
Uh,
we were dating for about a week, and we were, we did the whole let's talk about our exes thing. And I
yeah.
told her about when my ex threw out or kept that record, and then like the next date we went on, she gave it to me, and I was like, she was like,
Nice.
I found it for $1 at the store down by my house. And I'm just like,
Ah.
that's rad,
Yeah.
it had still had the shrink wrap around it and the sticker on it, and I was like, wow, this is better condition than the one I had. I was just like,
Right
oh, this is
on.
awesome. So yeah, so
Yeah,
I'd
that's
probably have to
great.
grab that one. So
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, there was a great like right before that whole resurgence there, it was like we had a few cool like just used record shops where around that era where you could still go back, like even like my top and stuff like that I just snagged from some place. It was like definitely not the best condition one or whatever, but you could get like a $4 version of it or whatever. It's like that would never happen now, you know.
Oh no way. I see some stuff that I know I bought for like $1 or $2, and now it's like $10, $15, $20, and I'm like, damn, that was only a couple of years ago. I mean, is it really like? I was just like, you people need to calm the fuck down with all this shit, right? Like they're just, I mean,
everything's a huge collectible.
Well, now I've been slowly turning my sights towards, as much as I don't really care about it, CDs and cassettes. So I've been, here and there, whatever I can grab that I don't have, I grab it, and it just usually just goes in a box.
That's cool.
Before I can, once I can get a display case for them, but records are still my passion and still what I go for. And I just recently found that Simon's band.
Oh yeah,
I can't remember the name. Can't remember the name off the top of my head.
Yeah, Fool's Dance, I think, something like that.
Yeah,
I've been curious. I need to hear that more. I feel like I got like some crappy MP3s at one point and was like, but
yeah, I was gonna put that on my USB recorder in like a day or two and put it on my computer. So
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, I've been collecting.
That's cool.
Yeah, trying to find offshoot stuff like all the Susie stuff and the gloves. And now Simon stuff, and so I think my numbers up to with everything all together, it's about almost getting close to 300 pieces total.
Nice.
So and then if you add in shirts and posters and everything, and all the other shit, So
do you have a lot of the old shirts and stuff? Is that something?
No, that's something I never like. I was never into collecting shirts. It was never something that I liked. I've always been a fatter person, so it was like a lot of shirts are done on white, and I can't stand white. So I'm just like, and like if a shirt doesn't fit me, I don't want to own it. I'm really not one of those people that will display shirts or like have a shirt. I have friends that have massive shirt collections, and I'm like, whatever.
Yeah, that's one that drives me a little crazy, and I've still got too many damn t-shirts, and like half of them I can't wear. I'm like, I look a little fat in this one, but on the right day I can pull it off. But for some reason, like all my old Cure ones, I had so many as a kid, and like they all just kind of fell apart. And I was notoriously bad at like washing stuff, where they just get like bleach stain or something would like just tear it up, and it just got ridiculous. So like maybe before I moved officially, I just kind of tossed a bunch. But I was just like, you look at them now, especially with that collector thing where it's like on eBay and they're all ridiculous. $400 for like a Wish shirt, and I'm like, what? Even like the Wild Mood Swing ones, I even like bought those knowing they're like terrible t-shirts. I'm like, I'm never gonna wear this, but I gotta have it,
I have that Kiss Me shirt, or no, is it Wish? The one you were talking about on one of your last episodes with just the giant face of Robert on the front of it.
Yeah, where he's like pulling his hand, hair up with his hands, right? Yeah, that was my go-to one forever. But
I bought that off of eBay for like $10,
damn.
probably about 10 years ago, and now I see it up there. It's like $200 and $250. I'm like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, because that's how I kind of understand like the super old ones, like an old. From the time Head on the Door one, but I'm like, damn, I had this one in like '97. It's not that old.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I guess it isn't old now. I don't know.
I mean,
so I've been trying to get them back, but
bootleggers now with like T-shirts and everything are kind of where it's at if I want to buy a Cure shirt,
Yeah.
So I bought my son one for his birthday. Boys Don't Cry shirt, and I think I got it for like $11, and I'm just like I'm not spending what people want for some of these shirts. So
I've actually gotten into the knockoffs. A lot of the ones they're like actually better ideas because they're a little more subtle and stuff. There's a few it's just like has like the old logo and stuff. I'm like, I'll buy that for like $12. That's like a way cooler shirt than half the real ones. But
I have a couple of like those joke. I don't know what they're like. Joke shirts, I guess, as you call them.
Yeah.
Like the Exorcist one with Robert Smith standing where the priest would be.
Right on.
Yeah, I have that one, and then I have another one that's just it says "Boys Don't Cry" across the top of it, and then it has the Joy Division like wavy lines logo, and on the bottom it says Depeche Mode. So
right.
yeah,
so, that one's awesome.
Yeah,
I've seen that.
Yeah. So I have a couple others like that, you know. So and I have a Nirvana one that says Nirvana across the top of it, and it has the logo for this band Jawbreaker underneath it, because Kurt was wearing a Jawbreaker shirt in one of his photos. So this guy I know did a mock up of that, so I got that, and so you know have you had
any like random people be like, "What the hell is up with your shirt?" Or do they even like?
I had
how many people even notice it. But
I had one guy that was, or I was at my son's school the other day, and I was wearing that Boys Don't Cry Depeche Mode shirt, and they were just like that they were like, "Oh, Depeche Mode, I remember them," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's kind of a joke shirt. It's supposed to be funny. You don't get the joke. It's cool." And then some guy came up to me. I was just wearing a Joy Division shirt at the store, and he was like, "I remember them. Nobody remembers them." And I'm just like, "Okay." He's like, "Oh, so and so was in the band at some point in time," and I'm just like, "Okay, I don't think we're talking about the same band, but it's cool. Thanks for noticing." You know, so yeah, I'm really fortunate. I'm really fortunate that, you know, my wife lets me do all this stuff, you know.
right there with you.
Sure, oh yeah, I was gonna say, I'm sure you're in the same boat, you know. So she allowed me to have a corner of our dining room just for my Cure posters and stuff. So they're all sitting above my computer, and you know, she allows me. Yeah. So and your wife lets you have a podcast. So.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, "When's this gonna start making money?" I'm like, never, but as long as you have hope, it's great.
Stamps.com. There you go.
Yeah, it's totally. Well, that's awesome, man. But yeah, I guess just to wrap up here with us, how do you feeling about the Cure in the future? What do you think is on the horizon, if there is a horizon?
I mean, just we were talking about before we came on about Chain of Flowers, and I was on there a couple weeks ago, and Craig, if it was Craig, whoever it was, posted that somebody put up that Robert's working on new music or something along the lines of that, which I was like, it kind of makes sense because they played those two songs on the last tour. Yeah, and I'm just like, what were their names?
The two songs?
Yeah, It Can Never Be the Same Again Without You, or whatever it was. That song was so fucking
Step
good.
Into the Light.
Yeah.
And I'm digging both of them.
Yeah, I'm just like, man, I really hope those just don't float into nothingness, you know? I hope they get recorded on something, you know? So, my hopes is that they record another album and they go on tour. And my oldest son was mad at me because I didn't take him on the last tour, so I made a promise to him that I would take him. Cool. So I would like,
especially as he's getting a little older. He seems like he's ready to be your concert buddy.
Yeah. We've been to like 2 or 3 of them so far. So yeah, cool. He's digging it, and Other than that, I really hope that they do reissues of Wish. Which you know, I've been forever waiting for, and In Orange DVD, that kind of stuff.
So much stuff with that where they could just totally dump all that. You know, I mean, so many of those live things they could put out at least on a DVD. You know,
even if you're not going to do a physical version of it, at least put it, you know, online so we can download it. So I don't have to go to YouTube and just watch it. You know, I can. So I can like put it on like a DVD and put it on my TV or whatever, or watch it wherever I want to, you know. That's my ultimate hope. But future will, future will tell. We'll find out. So hopefully he's in there right now recording what he can.
It would be cool to hear something. Even a 45 of just those two songs would be pretty cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like these bands have been around and doing everything so epic for so long. It's like, it doesn't have to. You can just like do like one good song and put it out, you know, on iTunes. You know, it's like we're not picky. We'll take it, you know. So,
they did that. They did their greatest hits picture disc for Record Store Day, and apparently they were more or less blown away with how popular it was.
Yeah. So I thought I saw something that was like one of the top, you know, purchased ones everywhere, and
I think it was number 6 overall.
Okay.
And so they're doing a repressing of it, of just without the picture disc, just regular black vinyl that you can get on, you can pre-order on Amazon. So I'm hoping they see that and they're like, oh man, there's still a market for us.
People like us. People still enjoy us. Man. It's like a lot of people at those shows, dude.
I know. I was surprised, and like, you know, I think they were shocked with how fast all those tickets sold out for, you know, as soon as they announced them for like the New York City Madison Square Garden. Like I got them right away, and that was that. I went to that one, and I went to the one in Baltimore, outside Baltimore, Meriwether.
Cool.
I
used to live up in Northern Virginia, so that was always my first concert ever was when I was in 7th grade at Meriwether. Saw Ziggy Marley and the B-52s.
Nice.
It got me rolling. But I guess I didn't get to ask your concert or seen them live. Had you seen them a bunch of times before that, or was that the first time you'd seen them? Or?
So I wasn't into them enough to go see them in 2000. Which for the Blood Flowers tour, which, you know, kind of looking back on it, I you know, want to punch myself, but, you know, is what it is. And then you know, they did that Curiosa thing in 2004. I did go to that, but I was going through so much stuff that I don't remember enjoying it.
Going through the motions.
And like so then when I was living in Chicago, me and my wife were together at that point, and we found out they were going tour in 2007, I think. And so we bought tickets right away for Chicago, and then they canceled the tour. And then so they rescheduled for 2008, and my wife surprised me with tickets for some big day, my birthday or Christmas or something, or anniversary, something like that.
Yeah.
So, and we were gonna sit. She got the only ticket she could find, which was like obstructed view tickets. And so we went in there and we sat down, and she was like, "Hold on, give me a second." And my wife's very, very persuasive with things. She's German, so she's very aggressive with things. So nice. she went down and she got us in the lower level, all the way in the back. But we were like, you know, eye level with the band, I guess you could say it. But in Philadelphia, it was at the Spectrum before it closed, I believe. So we saw them there, and then I saw them at during the Reflections tour in New York City. I bought the tickets the second they went on sale over my phone on Ticketmaster, and then nice. I had lost my job a week before the concert. And I was like, oh shit! And we just found out we were having another kid. It was like the worst month of my life. So I was just like, oh shit! What are we gonna do? I'm gonna sell the tickets so we can have money for Christmas and stuff. And my wife's like, you're not gonna do that. I was just like, she's like, you're gonna regret it for the rest of your life. I was like, all right. So we ended up going, and it was amazing. It was seriously one of the best concerts I've ever been to. And then I saw him twice during this last tour. So I don't go as far back as Arusha or anything like that. So,
that's a hard one to top.
So I work with
chunk, man. That's good.
Some coworkers I work with are like, I saw him back in '85 when they, I'm just like, oh, that's good, good for you, you know.
I consider the math, I was like, well, I wasn't like 6th grade. I probably shouldn't have been hanging out at the stadium anyway, but it would have been nice. But you get what you can. Even the Reflections one, that was the only time I've like been denied, like we tried to get tickets on the Ticketmaster, like the minute it went on, it was like sold out. And
I still don't know how I got them. Yeah, I
awesome.
Still don't know
how far do we want to take this? Do we, just buy scalp ones and buy the plane tickets? I think if we'd like been up there closer, but we were already down here in North Carolina at that point, and I was just like, it's just not meant to be. I think it was something similar. Or not sure if we had the kid on the way yet at that point, or a new house or something. We were trying to like stretch every penny at that point, and I was like, well, we probably shouldn't be flying up for a show that I just wasn't meant to go to, I guess. But yeah, that would have been awesome. I really wish I could have made that work.
Everything about that like worked out perfectly, like for us, and like I don't know, like I guess the gods were smiling on us, like for me losing my job and everything, because we were going for parking, and we're like, oh, I guess we'll park at the parking garage and spend money we don't have on parking. And I looked across the street, and there was an open spot half a block from the venue outside an Italian restaurant. And we're just like, yes! So we parked right there, got out, and we ran inside. And then, I had saved extra money. Or, no, I'd thrown all my change into, like, a Coinstar before we left. And I had money for merch. And nice. I got, like, 2 of the posters and, like, a T-shirt. And I was just, like, I was so stoked. So, yeah, we walked right in and sat right down. So, yeah.
That's great. Coinstar merch, man, that makes it even better.
yeah. So, but things are better since then, so it's all good.
Cool,
so,
good to hear.
If I didn't have the kids, I actually was gonna go down to the show in Carolina on their last tour.
Oh yeah.
I did.
That would have been cool.
Yeah, we were hanging out at that. My friend and he went with me, and we were hanging out, and there were people around us telling us that the show wasn't sold out. And I was just like, oh really? Huh. If I drive back home and grab both of my kids, and then we drive down to Carolina, it's about an 8-hour drive. I was trying to do the math in my head, and I was like, my oldest would sit through it, but my youngest would be driving me nuts. So
right,
so it's like,
my little guy's not quite there yet, but hopefully by the next round he'll be ready to go for a nice cozy pavilion spot, or sit out on the lawn or something.
Yeah.
But well, anytime, North Carolina in particular, you're more than welcome to crash here, man.
Oh, awesome. I appreciate it. Same for you. If you ever come up here, if there's anything like a limited tour that they do, that would be awesome.
Right on. Cool. Thanks. Yeah, Casey's family, my wife is fairly close to Philly. She lived in Philly for a little while, so I'm not sure how close to Philly you guys are, but
we're up by King of Prussia, so it's like northwest of the city. So
right,
yeah, so suburban life, something I thought I'd never do.
Word on. Awesome. Yeah, we're all there, I guess. Us Cure fans. But
yeah.
Cool, man. Well, I guess as far as the show goes here, we'll wrap up. Thanks so much for talking to us.
No problem.
Sharing your stories with these good Cure listeners out there, and hopefully we'll talk again soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Thank you again to Chaz so much. So nice finally talking to you, having a real conversation. I really wish I lived close to this guy so we could nerd it up in person. But hopefully we'll hear more from Chaz soon. And be sure to go on over to our Holy Hour Facebook page where you can check out little snapshots of his awesome vinyl collection that we were talking about. And also, while you're checking out the Holy Hour Instagram page, Chaz has a really amazing Instagram page too. I forgot to ask him questions about that, but we'll save that for another time. He finds really cool obscure images and ads and such that I hadn't seen a billion times on Instagram, and that page is called 17_seconds, so 17 seconds on Instagram, and check that out as well. While you're surfing around, be sure to subscribe to the Holy Hour podcast on iTunes, where you can rate us and review us there as well. And if you want to contact me directly, send a message to gavinconner@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your origin story too. So feel free to contact me, and we'll figure out a way to get your cure story out there to the world. And in the meantime, we got some great episodes on the horizon, so subscribe. We'll see you soon. Talk hard.